folks, welcome back to the Show. My name is Aaron, and as always, I'm joined by my cousin and co-host, the one and only Landon.
Good day.
How's it going, man?
Good. Good. I, as you can see from my background, I have all of my hats. Do you see all my hats?
There's a whole rack of them.
A whole rack of hats.
Hey, nice rack of
Thanks.
hats.
Thanks so much. I feel like we're in this very, I don't know, satire mood, you know? Do you
Are you
feel like
feeling
that?
satirical today?
I'm feeling satirical. Yeah.
Good. Before we dive into our topic today, just a quick reminder to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon if you want to be notified whenever we drop our latest content. And trust me, as always, you don't want to miss out on our shenanigans because shenanigans, we're all about the
Again?
shenanigans
Again?
all
Shenanigans?
all day, every day, baby.
We will not stop. We are going to use shenanigans on a regular basis from now
That's right.
on.
It's all about the
Shenanigans.
shenanigans.
There you go.
So we're feeling satanical. No, satirical.
What?
Easy, killer.
What?
What?
What? We're November. Stop that.
That's
It's
right.
over.
We're
Halloween is
All
gone.
Hallows, Saints Day. Let's go.
Yeah.
Today we are diving into the power of satire. Let me tell you, it's going to be a wild ride through some of the most biting, hilarious, and thought-provoking satire in film and television. Um, so, Landon, when you think of satire, what's something that comes to mind immediately for you?
Airplane.
Okay.
Airplane the movie. I think about taking something serious, and I'm sure there's many different versions of satire, but I think about taking something serious and making it into something not just silly, but it can, because it can sometimes be very clever, and it can be sometimes, it doesn't always have to be slapstick, but it's just taking something serious and just bringing it into a funny light. So
Hmm.
it can be actually be a smart way of being able to break tension even, and probably
Hmm.
incite riots. But I mean, it has been one of the most provocative historical um things of all time that has affected cultures, politics, education, entertainment. Satire is huge. There you go. How's that answer?
Good one. So what comes to mind for me with the first thing that really hits me is it's actually a movie I've only seen once, but I would think of it as like the granddaddy of satirical films. Doctor Strangelove. Have you ever
I never
seen that?
saw it. No, no, I
Oh
need
my
to.
gosh.
It's on the list.
Um, that is one to definitely watch. I
What's it
didn't. That's not
about?
what I wanted to see. What's it about?
Yeah, what's it about?
Nuclear annihilation.
Ah, there you go.
That old chestnut.
Yeah.
So Stanley Kubrick directed it. It's got oh gosh, shoot. Peter Sellers is he plays several roles in the movie, and really his performances stand out. Um it's crazy how they managed to make a comedy about nuclear annihilation. And that's really this is the movie that gives us Slim Pickens riding a nuclear bomb as it drops from the plane. He's riding it like a bucking bronco.
Oh, there you go.
um, it's the kind of thing. It's like who watches the news these days and thinks, you know what would be hilarious? Global destruction. But somehow it works. It works.
Well, there's been some good ones that have like commented on serious things like what's that one that had Glenn Close in it? Don't Look Up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
No,
that
close one. Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep, that's what it was. Yeah, yeah, Meryl Streep, sorry. But like that was a good one.
Yeah.
Where again you're taking something serious and it's just you're kind of making light, of it.
Oh
And
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know that some movies just like get to the edge, like don't have a point to it other than just to be funny. Like Airplane's not trying to convey a message, right? I mean, it's just I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't think they are. But I mean, there were so many movies at the time about disasters that were
Right.
serious. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so then you throw this one in there, and it's like, and you've got some serious actors, who are in it and doing it. And so it's kind of like, ah, that's good. It's sort of kind of refreshing to kind of. But a lot of the satires today, I think, are all trying to convey some sort of a message with it, typically.
I think that's where you come to uh the difference between a satire and a parody, right?
Yeah.
So a parody
But you
is
would say Airplane's more like a parody.
right, yeah. So
Okay.
Airplane I would consider more of a parody just because you had all those disaster movies back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Uh really those airport movies that were just straight up disaster movies and then here comes Airplane uh just lampooning the entire genre.
So would you
Um
say then that all satires must, by definition, then have to be conveying some serious message?
um I would think that underlying the humor in it, yes, there
Is a
should be some
comment?
kind of commentary on what they are poking fun at, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess if the writers of Airplane had the intention of commenting on how ridiculous some of these disaster movies were, so they created Airplane, then it would fall under satire. But
Right.
otherwise, if it's just simply hot shots, you know what I mean,
Right.
then making fun of Tom Cruise, then it's a parody.
Right. And it's entirely possible that that's where Airplane, comes from. A sense of, we're making fun of these disaster movies because they are a dime a dozen. Like
Right.
seriously, back in the 70s, that's what you got. You got the
Earthquake,
airport, earthquake, towering
Terry
inferno,
Inferno,
freaking
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Poseidon
Side Adventure,
adventure.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean, because these disasters were all over the place, and
Yeah.
so you get a movie like Airplane, and it's like you you're making fun of all of those tropes, and very possibly making the statement that hey, we're spending entirely too much money on watching uh these movies where people are losing their lives, and it's tragic. So
Right.
let's have a little fun with it.
Well, I think
Um,
about things like do you remember did you ever see The Menu?
oh yeah, yeah.
So that was a really great movie. I at least I liked it a lot. I wonder because that in some ways had comedic elements to it. I don't consider it to be a thriller as much as I don't know. It's hard to define, but that is something that makes light of certain things, but it's a constant commentary on I don't know our indulgences and our
Yeah.
the cheapening of things. It definitely is a movie that's trying to convey a message. You know, would you consider that to be a satire?
Um, I would think at times, yes. Um, Although it is hard to find humor in it because it's such a serious um tone to the movie.
Right,
Um, Whereas, you go back to and think about Doctor Strangelove, that is that's comedy through and through. Like there's they don't let up.
right.
Like it's not comedy like Airplane where every 2.3 seconds there's a new joke that you've got to process and laugh at, but it is strictly comedy, whereas the Menu I would say is can you call it satire? It definitely has a message. It's definitely conveying that message like you're saying that pokes fun at overindulgence and and our sense of taking ourselves too seriously or taking this aspect of society too seriously. Um,
Yeah,
but it doesn't really do it in a way that's humorous. It's almost disturbing
right.
in a lot of ways.
Kind of like American Psycho. If you think about like
Yes, exactly like that.
that's a comment. That's a definitely making a comment, but it wouldn't be considered satire, I guess, because
Right.
you know yeah, I mean, even if you look at like not to be on a Christian Bale kick, but even Batman Begins has a message. Just because a movie has a message doesn't mean, and maybe has a few bits of humor in it. Not that Batman did, but I'm just saying, like, just because a movie has a message and has comedy doesn't make it a satire. It would seem like you have to have a consistent comedy. You know what I mean? Would that be
Mhm.
fair?
Yeah.
A consistent
Yeah.
comedy with an underlying message, a serious message behind it.
I mean, you think about Mad Magazine, right? Mad Magazine is built on satire.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's
and
funny.
that is it's not simply satire based on, whatever movie is hot at the moment. It's satire based, excuse me, based on um politics of the day.
Right.
And throughout the 60s and 70s and 80s, they had that Spy versus Spy cartoon,
Yeah.
which obviously was a satire for the Cold War.
Right. Right.
So it's it can be strange where you find satire. Um,
But you see it in political and in cartoons and
oh,
political cartoons
absolutely.
and things like that. I mean, I think there's a you're poking fun at something to really call out something serious. I think about like the Birdman or with Keaton, with
Mhm.
Michael Keaton. There's something again that's funny to watch him behave and watch aspects of that movie, but it has an underlying serious message, right? And so, do you wonder about stuff like that?
Well, so now now we bring up the idea of whether it has to be humorous or not, or just have some humorous elements to it. Think about Starship Troopers. Did you ever see that one
Yeah,
back in the 90s?
yeah.
That is definitely satire, but I don't think people realized it was satire when it came out.
Tell me
Um,
why it's satire.
all right, well, it's nothing but poking fun at fascism and and they do it on such a almost a literal level, where when it came out, critics accused it of promoting fascism, and they were completely missing the point.
Ah,
uh I mean, because you've got Neil Patrick Harris dressed up like a freaking Nazi,
right,
and it's not like Paul Verhoeven was being subtle when he directed this thing. I mean,
no,
this was you literally had propaganda advertisements peppered in throughout the movie.
right.
Like, yes, they were advertisements that made sense in the reality of that movie. It's not like they were, advertising something for the real world. But the one of the things that comes to mind is, like, they're at war with these giant bugs on the other side of the galaxy, but they're telling you, hey kids, even you can do your part at home, and it shows a bunch of kids stomping on cockroaches and stuff.
Yeah,
It's like, how that is absolutely, that's propaganda. And so you're showing this level of ridiculousness, um
right. Well, Fight
where
Club's
like
like
they
that.
put so much um onto the shoulders of soldiers and the army and the space force or whatever that's going out there and taking on these unseen creatures and unseen enemies that are on the other side of the galaxy. That you
Right,
know why are we actually going after them? What did they do uh to cause us to go after them? Now, I know during the movie they allegedly blow up Buenos Aires as a part of the reason for us going there and taking the war to them. But then the question can be asked: did they really do it, or was that something that the humans did to gain support for the war and
right.
take the war to them? And
Wait,
so,
yeah, yeah. That's fair. So, and that's not definitely an action movie, not a funny movie.
right,
Um,
right, it has comedic elements to it here and
right,
there, but it
right.
is not a comedy.
But that's
But
that's
definitely has
like
something strong to say about fascism and the promotion of this martial law type society.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, I think about like Fight Club isn't a funny movie, though it has funny elements to it. And that definitely is where you're watching this comment on this world. You're seeing from another perspective about a person who is driving a resistance, right? And do you think consider that to be satire?
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah. Here's one that came up on the list of the ones that I had looked up, and I never thought it until I saw it on the list, and it was Mars Attacks. I
Yeah,
thought
I can see
Mars
that.
Attacks was like, I mean, it was kind of like a silly movie, and I was just like, I thought it was just kind of like a joke, like, and all that. But now that I think about it, just thinking about how all of that, plays out and stuff, to me, that's satire too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Absolutely.
I would have thought it before, but yeah, that's one of the things that I saw.
I haven't seen that in a long time. It's a classic.
Pierce Brosnan.
Um, what about the Truman Show?
See,
Uh,
this one was on the list too, and I thought to myself, I don't know,
when you
because
think about the age of social media and reality TV, it feels a little too real now. You look back at it.
maybe that's the issue, is that it's kind of part of it. I suppose it would have to be because it's a comment on people dialing in voyeuristically,
Yeah.
into other people, and this is calling that out. Maybe that's part of it too. It's anytime something is being called out, you know, I'll be honest, like my definition of satire has been broader until we start talking about it here. And it seems probably it's good to do this because it's like it kind of pinpoints what the criteria are. And I'd be interested if somebody was like educated that was talking to us about this. They'd probably be able to just say, yes, it's this. Here's the criteria of satire. You know what I mean? But it's
Yeah,
cool to talk through it, right?
absolutely. All right. TV shows. You got The Simpsons, you
Oh
got
yeah.
Family Guy, you got Community. Like shows like these have been like skewering pop culture and society.
Yeah.
Well, with The Simpsons, it's been decades. Like what they've been on the
Spin
air for 30
City.
years.
Spin
Spin
City.
City.
Remember that? Yeah. I like Spin
Um,
City.
do you have any favorite satirical moments from any of these shows, or a show that I, didn't even bring up? But
Um, yeah, I mean, I think I well, one of the shows that I was going to ask you about was, do you find that shows that are serious political shows but kind of humanize those shows, bring like, or even like police depictions, things like that, like this Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I mean, that would be considered satire, right? The Brooklyn Nine-Nine, with where
yeah,
they're cops and they're kind of making light of it, or is that just strictly comedy where you're taking it down? Because I don't know that I see, unless you're just trying to talk about, like, we look at police that are so serious, and you're trying to break down. I don't see like the message other than just being funny. What
I
about you?
think no, I think most of the time it's just a straight up workplace comedy.
Okay.
But I would absolutely say that they do have satirical moments
Yeah.
because it would be hard not to have a workplace comedy that takes place in a police precinct and not at some point
Run into a serious
call out
topic.
the problems that we see in our reality
Yeah.
with police corruption somewhere, where it shows up in the media. Um, it's I don't think that obviously that's not what that show is about,
Right.
but you can't ignore that when you're on the air for 5 years or how many seasons they were
Right.
on.
Right.
That's just it's part of what is going to make their culture. They just had to ride that line of being careful because remember this is a comedy
Yeah.
and we have an audience that we are catering to.
Right.
We
Right.
don't want to piss
I
anybody
mean,
off.
probably, I think Seinfeld probably comes to mind to me, you
Yeah.
know, just more than anything because of the amount of times that it pointed out the ridiculousness of human behavior. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And how in work situations and friendships and relationships and even, interactions with, soup, places or anything, just how you respond and how ridiculous we can be. I mean, everything's a bit on that show is just pretty much a satire, in my opinion. I think
Right.
that probably the most, I mean, absolutely Simpsons, absolutely. But I think Seinfeld probably is the one that comes to mind. And I wouldn't consider Office to be a satire. Um, I think that it has a lot of satire moments, but
Mhm.
I find it to be far more like the other one where it's poking it's like doing funny workplace drama, especially because you see like, you know, Jim and Dwight, especially as the characters become more themselves. I mean, the Gervais creation and what it was at the very beginning, sure, absolutely, absolutely, kind of poking that. But as the characters became individual and you became invested in them, it was less that, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
how do you retain satire when you become invested in the characters? The only way that you can is if it's like Seinfeld and the characters don't evolve; they just stay the same.
Right. And they definitely did not evolve.
Right,
Um, yeah. So what can be great about satire is that, when it's done well, they can really tackle heavy topics and wrap them up in humor, or wrap them up in a storyline that it's like you don't realize how deep they're cutting until later on, right?
right.
Um, I don't know, you're laughing 1 minute, then the next you're like, whoa, did they just make me think about something about the human
Yeah.
condition?
Well, what about like Parks and Rec?
Yeah, I would that I feel like that would fall under the same category as like The Office or Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where you've got this workplace comedy, but they're also going to be willing to make statements about. I mean, you think about it, it's that entire show is about small town government,
Right,
right? And
right,
so, how easy is it to look through that lens of small town government at government and politics overall, like in the
right,
United States,
right.
and somehow find a way to make a statement about that bit of ridiculousness.
I find that to be far more satirical than The Office
Oh
because
yeah,
again, the characters didn't evolve very much. You know, they pretty much stuck to the same way they were, much like Seinfeld. You saw progression in the characters in The Office every season, and so that changed your investment and the comments and the changes. It became less about let's depict this insensitive boss, and it became more like a I've got, this is Michael Scott, right? This is Michael Scott and who he is. And even as you had replacements of him, it wasn't about the boss anymore. It was about who that person was. It was about Andy or Robert California or whatever, right? So, like, but with Leslie Knope, I mean, maybe other people would say that they saw development and change. And I mean, your character had an arc, but still, it just seemed very, very much the same. And the comments and the jokes about the situations that they felt were kind of poking fun at that, that kind of element. So I don't know.
yeah,
I
um,
got a question for you.
yeah.
What would you think in today's society? Because we have all these shows and movies that have spanned the course of our lives, and just even thinking about the last 30 years of television and movies that we see in retrospect about their comments, you know, what would you say would be a timely satire now that would be something that would be an engaging topic to have a comment on that could be funny?
Oh, jeez. Oh, make me think deep thoughts, man. Uh, I think that I mean, if we're gonna go with a TV show that has stood the test of time, Saturday Night Live, from week to week is constantly, especially when you get into the Weekend Update, where
Yeah,
they,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
and going from that, you can also take the Daily Show, Jon Stewart. Um, these are shows, and more so the Daily Show. than SNL, but they're tackling like big topics
Yeah.
uh, on a regular basis, and taking a look at how they affect everyday lives. Not they're not just looking at these news stories from an entertainment perspective, but they're also breaking them down and giving them an element of, well, yeah, they're poking fun at it and they're making it appear in such a way that, yeah, I can laugh at this because of how stupid the real world can be, but at the same time, this is news and I need to treat it as such. I'm grateful that, yes, I'm able to laugh at it, but I'm also grateful that I'm able to think about it at the same time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say, like, if there's a show that's doing it right at this point, it's the Daily Show.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to say that they are going to do or say everything that everyone is going to politically agree with at all times. I'm
Sure.
not saying I agree with everything that they do and say politically, but I feel like I can still gain entertainment from watching that show, uh, and also walk away from it informed in a certain way that I may not be watching the regular mainstream media,
Yeah.
because you think, the way I consider, and again, not to get political on us here, but mainstream media is run by corporations that have interests, right?
Right.
And mostly they're interested in selling advertisement time. And so that means their half hour of news at the end of the evening needs to be exciting and sensational to keep people watching so that they can show those commercials and sell that ad time and get those ad dollars in. And so, it's hard to know what and who to trust when it comes to consuming media.
Right.
Um,
Right. And what agendas are being promoted?
right,
Um,
right,
well, Jonathan Swift, who wrote Gulliver's Travels, right?
right.
Remember that name? So in 1729, he wrote an essay called A Modest Proposal. And this essay that he wrote pretty much said, you know, probably the best thing for us to do, given the state of affairs and the needs of the people, would be for us to have people sell their children for food, to be consumed by the elite, you know? And it was just this very serious proposal indicating that we should do something outrageous, and just horrific even, so that we can keep up things, and satisfy the wants and needs of the elite. And very much a satire, for what he wrote. To me, I think, like, I would probably like to see a comment similarly towards how, because of the amount of hedonism and self promotion, self pleasure. There's this show that's called Broken uh what's it called? This Black Mirror. Black Mirror is the show. And it has all of these different episodes. It's had Miley Cyrus on it. It's had the one that I think of has Bryce Dallas Howard in it.
Mhm.
And she has, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's all about getting all of these likes. And then it's this future scenario where you have all of these likes, and it pretty much determines your access and your involvement in society. And so seeing something like that even further depicted on television or in movies, to just call out the ridiculousness of how much we are so involved in social media approval and liking, and how ridiculous it is, I think would be important. And if you haven't had a chance to watch sorry, what do you call it?
Here.
Black Mirror. Um, I mean, it's not for kids, but it surely is a really serious comment on just some really ridiculous stuff about human nature today.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's about all the time we got for our main topic, though. It's been a good discussion, man.
Yeah.
And y'all out there, keep it going. If you're listening to this and you've got some ideas about what makes up satire, what it should be, what it shouldn't be, let us know in comments. We definitely want to hear from you, and what do you think of when you think of satire? Do you think of certain movies, certain TV shows, books, even? Let us know. Because we're all about expanding our horizons and learning more about what's going to make us think about the human condition.
Yeah. Oh, real
Um,
quick,
yeah,
disclaimer. Noah, please do not watch Broken Mirror or Black
Black
Mirror
Mirror.
without your parents' approval. And,
Even then,
and even then, please
you
don't do
might
it.
want to
Yeah,
wait a
till you're
few
like,
years.
yeah, that's yeah, too soon.
Um, all right, so let's jump into the pop culture pulse. Landon, did you hear the sad news about Jenna Fisher from The Office, which we were just talking about?
No.
She recently revealed that she has been diagnosed with breast cancer.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, definitely impactful. We're all rooting for her and wishing her the best in her treatment and recovery.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen or heard like what stage it is or how, what the prognosis is, but our thoughts and prayers are with her and her
Yes,
family. Hopefully that she will hopefully beat this thing and make a speedy recovery. Just goes to
absolutely.
show that even our favorite TV personalities are not immune
No.
to life's challenges. Um, in lighter news, again, have we seen any good satires lately? I was actually going to bring up Don't Look Up at this
Uh,
point, but since you already mentioned it, it's on Netflix. It is a biting commentary on um, just the way that media and government might react if something disastrous were heading our way, like a comet. um, it's got Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, and really an all-star cast of like huge names. You got Meryl Streep. You got what's his name? Dang it,
DiCaprio?
I already said that.
Oh, who else are you talking about?
Kate Blanchett's in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, all-star cast, big
Yep.
big time thing. Adam McKay directed it. Good movie. Did you get a chance to see it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, the other one I was going to recommend is Leave the World Behind with Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke. And so that's a very interesting movie.
Well, see, I watched that. That was really good.
It's a great
Mahershala
movie.
Ali in it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a
Oh my
great movie.
gosh.
Just if all of a sudden all of your access was shut down because of an unknown whatever. You know what I mean? There's an invasion, there is a war, there's a civil war, whatever. You know, what I mean, it's just
Yeah.
like something has happened, and then also go with it. I did watch Civil War, by the way, and I considered it to be good for me to watch, but I would not watch it again. So it was
So
very serious.
so you did see it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. I really want to.
It's good to see. It's heavy, and
Yeah,
it's one of those that I think it's really good for people to kind of see and consider, and especially because we over here don't have the view of being in a war torn scenario,
hmm,
and it's good for us to see that to appreciate what's going on in the rest of the world.
yeah. I honestly I saw the trailer for it. Yeah, I guess probably last year, whenever it was the trailer hit, and all I could think was, man, that is scary, and how close to reality is it?
Yeah,
Um,
I battle with that, and I actually don't find it to be. I think that the Julia Roberts movie is far more likely a scenario
right.
than this scenario, um, but it nonetheless was because a lot of it has to do with infrastructure. You know, if you think about infrastructure and what shuts down and how things shut down and how a shutdown here looks versus a shutdown, somewhere else within infrastructure somewhere else and how trade works. So I don't feel like I've connected with the plausibility of civil war. as much as I did, Leave the World Behind, but it's still good to see.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Um, is that your recommendation for this week's recommendation corner?
It is.
Okay, well, I got one for you too, and
Let's
it's
hear it.
not Don't Look Up. Recently a movie hit Netflix called Don't Move.
Oh, I
Um,
want to see that.
yeah, if you're looking for a thriller, this is a good one. It's got Kelsey. I can't remember her last name. She's one of the stars of Yellowstone. But she is the main character and does a fantastic job with this role. I don't want to give anything away about the plot because even just saying a little bit would give so much away as a spoiler.
Oh,
But
now I have to watch it.
yeah, it is so good. I watched it over the weekend last week, and I tell you what, I texted a friend of mine after it was over, and I was just like, "Don't move on Netflix. You'll thank me later."
Oh my gosh, I'm totally gonna watch it. It's got my guy Finn Wittrock from American Horror Story.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. Um, I wouldn't again know if you're listening for our younger viewers, younger listeners. Probably not for you. It is rated R. But um, tell your parents about it. They might enjoy it. It's a really good thriller if you're looking for one.
No, I'm on it.
Um,
I've got a gaming one. So, Dark Pictures has games on. I don't know if it's more than just PlayStation, but Dark Pictures has an anthology, and one of the latest ones is one called The Devil in Me, and it's actually a game. It's one of these choose your own adventure games where it's not like a whole lot of action that you're doing. You're moving a character, you're investigating, you're picking things up, you're solving stuff. You'll have things jump at you, and then you have to press a button in a certain amount of time, but nothing like one of these action things. I mean, so my daughter and I play this game because we're trying to play like a thriller game together, not like a Resident Evil or anything like that. And we just finished it, and I mean, it was a great thriller because you're playing through this and you're solving things, and ultimately you're trying to get your characters, as many characters as you can, as to survive by the end of it. So we're gonna play Detroit Become Human, which I've already played once myself, but another game like that. So if you're looking for like a choose your own adventure type of game, um, and your choices, all the choices you make with characters and how they interact together and with their environment shapes the outcome of the game. Those are some really great games.
I do like games like that. Did you ever play Until Dawn?
Yes, they're gonna make a
Yeah,
movie.
really?
Yeah, they're gonna make a movie based because of how popular.
Huh.
So
Yeah, that's one of those. It's like you've got the whole butterfly effect thing going on, where
yeah,
every choice you make affects stuff that's going to happen down the line in the game.
yeah. You
All right,
you'd
folks.
like it. Detroit Become Human would be a great game for you to try.
I think I played the demo of that, and I just never got into the actual game.
The Wheel.
The, the wheel, yeah. All right, that's it for our dive into the world of satire. But we do have to spin the wheel to see what topics we're going to be tackling next time. All right, let's get to speed. There's things you want.
I'm always excited about the Wheel.
All right,
I feel like I'm winning something.
can you see it?
Yes,
All right, can you read it?
sort of.
Spinning, spinning, spinning. What do we land on?
Barney McFly, popcorn. What does it say?
Popcorn psychology. Marty McFly.
Oh,
We are
tell
going
me.
to dive into the psyche of one Martin McFly from Back to the Future.
I'm going to love that. I know you
That
will.
that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. That's where we get to like figure out what makes him tick. What
That's
sort of
good.
I don't know, neurotic tendencies does he have? All right. What else we got?
All he wanted
Second
was the
topic.
truck. That's all he wanted. I think you're on Star Trek.
Star Trek. So
Next
that'll take us to
Generation
season three
3.
of the Next
Good.
Generation. So
Nice.
folks, get ready for that. We'll do the pop culture psychology thing, popcorn psychology with Marty McFly. and we'll do season 3 of Next Generation. We'll figure out what some of those behind the scenes turmoil things were with TNG, and talk about some of the more um, important episodes that hit. That tell you what, the end of season 3, biggest cliffhanger ever.
Mm.
And we'll talk about that next time. All right, guys. That is all we've got. Landon, do you have any final words to say about satire and um, peeling
No,
back the layers of truth?
no, but I'm glad I have a better definition about it now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You never know what you might learn listening to the Show.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for educating me on satire.
All right, guys. Until next time, I'm Aaron. That's Landon. And this has been the Show. Have a great whatever it is, wherever you are.